Hello folks, it's me, DeMontropolis, and today I'm returning to the original Mega Man for my first ever weapon guide. Hopefully it won't be the last one. Basically what I'm going to do is cover each of the 6 weapons and utility in this game and run down their statistics. From there, I'm going to highlight specific enemy matchups where each weapon performs exceptionally well or has something noteworthy to mention. I will also provide some interesting tips and tricks about the game where I see fit, a few of which may not even be related to weapons, just stuff I figured I'd share. If you're wondering why I'm just making a weapon guide out of nowhere, I covered it at the end of my Ninja Gaiden 3 review. In a nutshell, I figured it would be a good way to revisit the original hexology once again and get some more out of the Blue Bomber in the form of smaller scale content, hopefully. So without further ado, let me give you the lowdown. So unlike most other Mega Man games having 8 weapons and multiple utilities, Mega Man 1 only has 6 weapons and 1 utility. The 6 weapons are Rolling Cutter, Super Arm, Ice Slasher, Hyper Bomb, Firestorm, and Thunder Beam, while the 1 utility is Magnet Beam. To calculate the most efficient areas where each weapon or utility can be used, I wrote up a log for the number of enemies, possible gimmick interactions, and the number of valuable goodies like 1-ups. From there, I picked out the most noteworthy interactions to delve into with each of the arsenal. I should also mention that I'm not covering boss fights here. I already did that in my boss guide, link in the description. I'm going to run this down by Robot Master's serial number order. So to begin, let's start with Rolling Cutter. You get this weapon from Cutman, or more specifically, Cutman's head. It's a pair of scissor blades that is thrown in a low arc. The trajectory covers a wide area given the cutter's size, and it also has boomerang properties, returning to Mega Man after reaching the halfway point of its travel path. You can only have 1 pair of scissors on screen at a time, and by costing 1 unit of ammo, you normally have 28 uses of the weapon before you run out. The weapon additionally has piercing properties and will not bounce off of enemy protection. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 12 of which are weak to Rolling Cutter, all of them dying instantly to this weapon. These include Screw Bombers, who are the most common enemy in the game, appearing in 6 of the 10 stages. Due to their ability to hang out in places low to the ground or high on the ceiling, they can be tricky to hit with the Buster. Thanks to Rolling Cutter's big size, you can line up the initial trajectory to cut them down without needing to worry about precision. This is especially useful in Wily 4, where some of their placements are set up perfectly for Rolling Cutter's arc. Crazy Razies are especially weak to Rolling Cutter, as the arc will clip the head and kill the enemy right away. As long as your body is level with the enemy's body, you won't overshoot your target. If you get Rolling Cutter early on in your run, it should be the go-to for getting rid of any Gabuals in your path. The best stage to use this weapon against Gabuals is in Elecman stage, especially the ones early on. They only appear in 4 screens overall, but Gabuals cover platforms small enough that you can't really jump around them normally. You would have to stun them with the Buster and jump around them, but thankfully Rolling Cutter circumvents this. Tackle Fires are sentient fireballs that rain down throughout most of Fireman stage. They fall in groups of 3, but because their pathing can sometimes be problematic because of a poor RNG setup, hitting them with the Buster can be really hard if they're all clustered together above you. Because Rolling Cutter arcs up a little bit when thrown, you can use this trajectory to cleave a whole lane of Tackle Fires by simply throwing it in advance. Watchers always spawn in through the same formations, and the top left ones just so happen to align with Rolling Cutter's trajectory. While you're climbing a ladder, your first cutter throw should take out the first 2 watchers above you, and it'll come back in time for you to throw it again, taking out the 3rd watcher. Next up is Super Arm. This is Gutsman's weapon, unique in that it's unable to fire on its own. Instead, Mega Man has to go over to certain blocks, known as Guts blocks, and if they can be interacted with, they will flash when you get close. From here you can grab the Guts block to carry it around, and then throw it again. However, there are only 6 stages out of 10 that supply ammunition for use. The Guts blocks travel in an arc when thrown, but compared to Rolling Cutter, this arc is quicker and travels a longer distance. Guts blocks will also scatter into smaller pieces that spread forward upon colliding with terrain, thus covering more area. Through the player picking up pieces of terrain, this is the first type of wall destroyer in the series, because in addition to supplying yourself powerful ammunition with these blocks, you can simply clear a path in front of you. By costing 2 units of ammo to throw a block, you have 14 uses of the weapon before you run out. The weapon additionally has piercing properties and will not bounce off of enemy protection. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 6 of which have notable weaknesses to super arm and are overall easily dispatched by it. These include Big Eyes, which can be withered down quickly, but super arm can only really be used against the one in Cutman stage, and no, Wily stage 1 doesn't count. This Big Eye has 4 guts blocks to the left of it, and in addition to the blocks doing massive damage, you can actually remove the 2 bottom blocks to give yourself a safe area, with the Big Eye unable to get inside. From there, the enemy is a free kill. In general, Cutman stage has the most amount of guts blocks to make use of throughout, so super arm should be definitely taken advantage of if you come here with that weapon. Other enemies like Bunby Hellies and Susies will be much easier to clear out, thanks to the wide area you can cover and the damage these guts blocks can deal. Additionally, there is one pickup that super arm is known for obtaining, traditionally speaking, and that's Magnet Beam. Only found in Elecman stage in plain sight, this utility is walled off by 3 guts blocks. Because you need super arm to get these guts blocks out of your way, it's highly recommended to get super arm before coming here. If you don't, you will have to revisit the stage with either super arm or the newly acquired Thunder Beam, as both can remove the blocks. Next in line is Ice Slasher, taken from Iceman, and on the surface, it's a very simple weapon. An arrowhead of ice is fired straight forward, and only one can be on screen at a time. Instead of doing damage, Ice Slasher actually immobilizes enemies where they are for several seconds. From there, you can either ignore the enemies or switch to another weapon to finish the job. By costing 1 unit of ammo, you have 28 uses of the weapon before you run out. The weapon additionally has piercing properties and will not bounce off of enemy protection. But there are also a few enemies that display some interesting vulnerabilities, more so than you would expect. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 7 of which are notably subdued by the freeze effect. The Flying Shell is one of those enemies, where if you use Ice Slasher, its protection goes away and you can kill it at any time, even if it looks protected. Even better is that if a Flying Shell is killed or despawned after getting frozen, the enemy just stops spawning altogether. It only really works in Bomb Man stage, as they're in a horizontal scrolling section, where you can actually see this effect play out. Big Eyes are very tanky with their 20 HP, so having a weapon that can shut them down is incredibly valuable. Once Ice Slasher is yours, you have complete safety from one of the biggest threats in the game. Just like with Flying Shells, Mets can be killed through their helmet protection as long as they get frozen first. This makes the original Mega Man one of the few games that allow you to bypass their signature helmet protection. Even if Picket Men get frozen through their shield, they will eventually move it out of their way when trying to attack. Thus, they are very easy to kill once frozen. Sniper Joes have similar behavior, but can also jump in place. They aren't actually defending with their shield when they jump, which makes it a much easier window for Ice Slasher to immobilize them with. Another big perk Ice Slasher has is a gimmick interaction with the vertical fire pillars, found in Fireman Stage and Wily Stage 1. These rising flames are tricky to get past thanks to their strict timings. If Ice Slasher is used on them, they get frozen solid for a few seconds, rendering them harmless and allowing Mega Man to use them as stepping stones. It's one of the earliest instances of weapon interactivity in a stage, and it overall makes Fireman Stage more fun if you bring this weapon along with you. We're halfway done with the weapons, so our next point of interest is Hyper Bomb. Obtained from Bomb Man, this is by far the most technical weapon in the game. When used, Hyper Bomb is thrown in a small arc, and only one can be on screen at a time. If you threw it on the ground, the bomb bounces twice before stopping, but if you were airborne, it'll bounce 3 times. After bouncing, the bomb sits there for a bit before exploding, covering a decent radius around it. The catch is, only the explosion deals damage, and there's a big delay from the initial throw to the eventual explosion. so overall Hyper Bomb has a bigger skill curve than the rest of the weapons. By costing 2 units of ammo, you have 14 uses of the weapon before you run out. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 6 of which have notable weaknesses to Hyper Bomb, and you will have a generally easier time taking these guys out with Hyper Bomb. These include Super Cutters, oddly enough. Best done by using Ice Slasher to freeze one near the ground and setting off the Hyper Bomb from there. Screw Bombers stay perfectly still on the ground, and thanks to the Hyper Bomb's bounce, you can have an easier time sniping them from an upper ledge, if the level design allows for it. However, the weapon won't work if they are bound to the ceiling. Hyper Bomb is one of the few weapons that can one-shot Picketmen, but the best way to use it is to throw it at the enemy when he shows up, and after some time, the bomb will kill the Picketman. This should work on all 4 Picketmen except the third one, thanks to that pit in front. Since Gabioles are limited to the platforms they cover, Hyper Bomb will be especially effective in a Lekkaman stage, if no other weapon is available. Some of their placements may require a more specific throw to line up the bomb correctly though. Hyper Bomb will also be effective in Fireman stage. You could throw a bomb against the low ceilings to cancel the bounces and make it explode sooner. Just make sure you're grabbing a ladder so the Gabioles aren't speeding away from the bombs. The irony of Sniper Joes getting one shot by Hyper Bomb is that they only appear in Bomb Man stage, so you'd have to revisit it to notice this. Nothing else really to point out about it, I just think it's funny. Our penultimate weapon is Firestorm. You get this from Fireman. Your attack starts off with a fireball that travels straight, and it also has a bigger size than the Buster, so it will hit enemies lower to the ground. Unique to this weapon is a barrier in the form of a really fast fireball that orbits Mega Man for a quick second. Thus, 2 projectiles are released at once. By costing 1 unit of ammo, you have 28 uses of the weapon before you run out. The weapon additionally has piercing properties and will not bounce off of enemy protection. Although only 1 fireball can be on screen at a time, there is a special trick you can do. If you press the shoot button while a fireball is on screen and your spinning orb has just disappeared, the barrier will come back without shooting the straight fireball. If it happens, the barrier stays on you for roughly 5-ish seconds, holding onto it for much longer and letting you ram into enemies. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 14 of which are weak to Firestorm, all of them dying instantly to this weapon. These include Bunby Helis. They are fast once they start swooping onto you, so even if you miss the straight projectile, they will bump into your barrier. It's best to be as close to their X-axis as possible, because when Bunby Helis swoop, they won't go as fast getting to your position. Fleas are fast little buggers, but they aren't too small that they can escape bigger weapons easily. Regardless, a weapon like Firestorm can cleave through them, especially if you use that special trick with keeping the barrier up for much longer. Picketmen actually get one shot by this weapon. Even if you happen to shoot early, their shield won't cancel the projectile and they will still get killed when they try to attack. Number 1 weapon against this enemy. Pepes are pretty slow moving enemies, so Firestorm will render you completely safe against them. Sniper Joes also die very quickly to Firestorm, though instead of 1 hit, it's 5. You just have to stay close to him so the spinning orb will rack up multiple hits. As long as you have good enough reaction to when he's about to fire, you can dodge his shots and kill him very quickly, even without Ice Slasher. Last weapon is Thunder Beam. Taken from a Lekman, this weapon is based on his attack, but adds an extra layer of multi-directional aiming. In addition to the big straight projectile of lightning, 2 additional bolts are fired upwards and downwards from the Buster. This creates 3 projectiles at once, covering a lot of space and even lagging the game briefly. By costing 1 unit of ammo, you have 28 uses of this weapon before you run out. The weapon additionally has piercing properties and will not bounce off of enemy protection. Fun fact, Thunder Beam has wall destroying properties. If fired at guts blocks, it will automatically shatter them, though this will do Thunder Beam damage and not Super Arm damage. Thanks to this, you can obtain Magnet Beam with Thunder Beam if you revisit the stage without Super Arm. Out of the 17 enemies in the game, 15 of which are weak to Thunder Beam, most of them dying instantly to this weapon. These include Beaks, who tend to hide in areas out of reach from the Buster at first, so this weapon will come in handy with striking them from afar. One particular section is Wily 2, you can sweep an entire column of beaks and let the pickups fall onto you. Susie's get one shot by most weapons, but Thunder Beam is the best weapon to wipe them all out in record time. Cut, Wily 2, and Wily 3 in particular have Susie's in places where the Buster will struggle to clear them safely, so Thunder Beam will scramble right through them. Surprisingly, Thunder Beam does efficient damage to Big Eyes. Killing them with 5 attacks, Thunder Beam is a better alternative to just using the Buster, if the Ice Slasher isn't available. Screw Bombers are also enemies that like to hide out of the Buster's reach, but one important tidbit to take into account is when they're hidden in the ground. See, the way Thunder Beam animates has the bolt moving in a sort of a sinusy motion, and because the hitbox covers the sprite exactly, it can weave right over a resting Screw Bomber. Simply just shooting again in a different spot can rectify this oversight, but it's still worth noting as it can catch you off guard. Crazy Razies do not stand a chance against Thunder Beam whatsoever. Easiest kill ever. Gabuals are also easily cleared by Thunder Beam, and while they have the same evasive perk as Screw Bombers, you can more easily kill them by just shooting right as they're near your feet. Killer bullets take one hit from everything, but their explosions can be nasty if you let them get close. Thunder Beam will be your safest bet in killing them from a good distance, wherever they may be. And since tactical fires spawn above you in groups of 3, the vertical bolts of Thunder Beam have got you covered. The only utility in the game, Magnet Beam, lets Mega Man create platforms out of the beams he creates. The longer the button is held, the longer the platform will be, at no additional ammo cost. The platform is also tied to the Buster until the button is released, which will then initiate its timer for how long it lasts. Keep in mind that Mega Man will fall off these platforms faster than usual, as in this game only, his falling speed does not reset when landing on a platform like a Magnet Beam's. It's instead building up constantly until you jump or touch solid ground. By costing 2 units of ammo, you have 14 uses of the weapon before you run out. Magnet Beam has quite a lot of uses, but when it comes to enemies, Big Eye is the primary enemy who can be outsmarted and skipped with Magnet Beam. Use it to get yourself high out of reach and vault over the Big Eye. When it comes to gimmick interactions, the most popular usage of Magnet Beam is with the footholders. These fellas have very buggy collision if you try to platform on them normally, and Iceman Stage even encourages usage of Magnet Beam with this weapon pickup. In addition, you can bypass Yoku block rooms, lifts, and all the fire-based traps in Fireman Stage. This includes the Fire Wave Tunnel. It's very precise of a movement to run through those flames, so Magnet Beam will let you skip that entirely. Out of the 5 1-ups in the game, only 2 require or even encourage Magnet Beam usage to get them. The one in Wily 2 is very easy to collect, while the one in Wily 4 I mainly use Magnet Beam more so as a safety precaution. This also goes with the Yashichi here, which you should always get as it fully restores your health and all of your weapon energy. Now that we've reached the end of the guide portion of the video, it's pretty much time to wrap things up. However, I think we can squeeze in a bit of a bonus section for some fun. So it's time to add some subjectivity to the mix and make a nice quick ranking of Mega Man 1's arsenal on its own. It's loosely founded on my opinion, but the general performance of the weapons do most of the talking here. So let's have one last hurrah! Rolling Cutter would go in number 3. It's a very solid weapon with the low arc making it easy to hit enemies with, in addition to the universally strong damage. But despite its strength and performance, I can't put it any higher because the upper 2 weapons are just so much better. 7 out of 10 overall. Super Arm goes down to number 6. These lower 2 weapons are vastly imbalanced compared to the others, but with Super Arm, its biggest downside is most of the game not supplying you with the ammunition to actually use it, effectively making the weapon useless in most circumstances. Only Cutman Stage does a good job at giving you consistent ammunition, while the rest have guts blocks in more sporadic spots that make it inconsistent to rely on. Yes, it does a lot of damage, but so do the top 3 weapons. 1 out of 10 overall. Ice Slasher goes in number 5. It does have utility with shutting down tough enemies, but that's sort of it. There aren't that many tough enemies out there to begin with, and the rest already die in one hit to the other weapons. Still, Ice Slasher serves its purpose well enough. 6 out of 10 overall. Hyper Bomb is dead last at number 7. It's a joke how bad it is. I can't help but laugh when it's brought into conversation because there's no good benefit to relying on the explosion when you can use any other weapon to do damage right away. While you can use it anywhere unlike Super Arm, the practicality of using Hyper Bomb is so contrived that you can't be taken seriously. This is the only weapon that I never see myself using in the Fortress stages, outside of Gutsman, and even that's a maybe. 1 out of 10 overall. Firestorm is number 2. Now this is amazing. It's personally my favorite weapon, as the Fireball and Spinning Orb complement each other so well. The Fireball is fast and bigger than the Buster Shots, while the Orb cleans up anything that the Fireball missed. Using the Orb in a defensive way is a great strategy too. As mentioned before, most enemies die in one hit to your weapons, so the coverage really helps. 9 out of 10 overall. Thunderbeam is number 1. This is the game's undisputed champion. It's as OP as they come. The lightning bolts are so massive, they will swallow everything in sight, at very little ammo cost too. Only 2 enemies in the game, Supercutter and Picketman, aren't fazed much by Thunderbeam. Everything else will not last very long to the power of this weapon. If you ever just want to go autopilot through a stage, stick to Thunderbeam and zap everything. 10 out of 10 overall. Lastly, Magnet Beam is number 4, smack dab in the middle. For the first utility in the series, you can get pretty creative with how you skip over different sections. There unfortunately aren't many goodies exclusive to Magnet Beam, but the flexibility of its platform creation feels very nice and player friendly. 7 out of 10 overall. Well, that's it for the video. If you like what you saw, consider giving a like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment if you have something to say. And as per usual, check the links in the description if you want more out of my channel, including my own Discord server, DeMontropolis. I hope this guide will prove useful in helping folks get better at Mega Man 1, and even taking a jab at playing the game a different way. With that said, I'll be signing off. Take care, folks.